Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If I sound sleepy, it's because I am. It's currently 7:38 when I started recording this in the evening, by the way. And I was like, you know what? I want to record. So that's what I decided to do. So today's topic is going to be about Jojos Bizarre Adventure, specifically Part 1 Phantom Blood. Now, this might just become a regular series on the channel where I just start talking about anime. They each arc and season and stuff like that. And I decided, why not talk about Jojos Bizarre Adventure? And my end goal, honestly, is to create a timeline of events with Jojos Bizarre Adventure. And I've already read Part 1 and Part 2. And I took a break from reading Part 3. And I've already watched Jojos Bizarre Adventure. So why not? So let's actually get started. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And let's start it off with volume 1. Now, chapter 1 of volume 1 gives us kind of like a precursor to how the JoJo's timeline of events, specifically part 1, 2, and 3, began. So in BC 12th through 16th century, at the center of Mexico, an Aztec tribe has unlocked the secrets to eternal life using a demonic stone mask, and then the tribe eventually disappears. Now, part 1 is set in London, 1880, where we are introduced to Dio Brando and Dario Brando. Dario is Dio's father, who is dying from an unknown illness, and he tells Dio about an encounter he had in 1868 when he quote-unquote saved a man from a carriage incident which belonged to Jonathan Joestar's father, George Joestar. Now, who exactly is Jonathan Joestar? Well, Jonathan Joestar is the main protagonist to Phantom Blood, whereas Dio is the main antagonist in Phantom Blood. Now, they go back to 1868, and this is when George Joestar and Mary Joestar were traveling with the stone mask in the carriage, and what ended up happening was the carriage had fallen from a cliff, which instantly killed Mary Joestar and the driver. Now, Dario Brando, who was Dio's father, was the one that found them, so to speak, and decided to loot the carriage. What ended up happening, though, is George Joestar was still alive, and he assumed that Dario was helping him and rewarded him with the favor and some money for his help. Now, after Dario dies in 1880, Dio decides to become a rich, powerful man by using the Joestars as a stepping stool. We are then introduced to Jonathan Joestar and Irina Peddlington. I think that's how you say her name. I might be butchering it. And the year is currently 1881. Now, Irina is being bullied by these two hoodlums, these two thugs, if you will, and Jojo tries to step in and help her, but he ends up getting his ass beat, and then he ends up getting his ass beat some more for being rich. Now, once Dio arrives at the manor, we get to see him become the antagonist pretty quickly because his goal is to be number 1 by usurping Jojo. Now, if you are confused at this point about who Jojo even is,
Jojo! Have you learned nothing?
they're the same person, okay? Jojo is a nickname for all of the Joestars. Jojo is literally the family nickname. Now, back to the story. Dio's goal is to usurp Jojo and become the heir to the Joestar fortune. He wants to make everyone turn against Jojo by beating him at everything that he's good at, further isolating him from his dad and his friends. And he is able to accomplish this pretty quickly. In the year of 1881, literally from the time he got there, Dio proved that not only is he a better son than Jojo and he is much more well-mannered than Jojo, he can fight better than Jojo and he can take Jojo's friends, and he did just that. He even goes as far as to assault Irina, who is Jojo's love interest. Now, after Dio isolated Jojo from his dad and his friends, he ends up seeking solace in Irina, and they become very close, and they start to get to know each other and like each other. And Dio as a way to best JoJo, assaults Arena by stealing her first kiss. And she responds in the most boss way possible. She wipes her mouth with mud, y'all. She literally takes some mud from a puddle and wipes that shit off. And you know what Dio ends up doing? He slaps her. He really said, "Is my kiss that filthy that you would wipe your mouth with mud-warmed water?" Yes, it is. It really was.
I'll make you regret that, you filthy cur!
Now, after JoJo finds this out, because he does end up seeing Arena around town, they live in the same town, bro, they live in the same city. He saw her and she ran away, and then he found out that Dio basically assaulted her. So guess what he did? He pulled up on Dio because they share a house, and he was like, "I'm not gonna let you get away with what you did. I will defend my love interest honor." And he did just that. Dio thought he was literally gonna beat JoJo in his own house, and for a second I thought so too, because Dio is a dirty fighter, but Dio is also a street fighter. Dio grew up in like the slums of London, and he got some fighting experience in him for sure. But for JoJo to beat his ass as bad as he did, that shit was satisfying to watch. And as a result of Dio getting beat up by JoJo, bro, you would not believe what he did. He unalived this man's dog in the worst way possible. When I tell you, I saw the scene and I watched it again just for this video, and oh my god, it was messed up. It was messed up. But I do think what ended up being revealed at the end of that fight is that they saw the stone mask open up. Now, when I mean they, I mean Dio and JoJo saw the stone mask open itself, and sharp claws or whatever came out of the mask, which is very important for the next part of this volume. 7 years have passed. It is 1888, and Dio and Jonathan are maybe 19, 20 years old. Now, Dio and JoJo are currently at Hudson Academy playing football and or rugby. It looks like football to me, but it was rugby. Now, both JoJo and Dio pretend to like each other and are like the best of friends on the outside, but on the inside they hate each other. They secretly hate each other, and they have been hating each other for the past 7 years. And what's even crazier is that George Joestar is sick from an unknown illness. And this is where we also learn that JoJo is currently studying archaeology because he wants to learn how the stone mask works. And he also ends up finding some letters that Dario Brando sent to George Joestar before he died. And what's in these letters is so telling that it's crazy. So the letters basically are from Dario's point of view, and he told George about how he has only a son named Dio, and he would like for George to take Dio in and raise him properly because he's about to die from an unknown illness, and he had some symptoms that match up with George Joestar's symptoms. George Joestar is currently on his deathbed with the same symptoms that Dario Brando also had before he died. So JoJo puts two and two together, and he's like, "Oh, so you trying to kill my dad? You trying to poison him the same way you killed your dad? That's not happening." So JoJo ends up confronting Dio about it, and obviously Dio gonna lie his way through it. Dio is trying to play the manipulation game. He's like, "Why would you accuse me of such thing? Come on now, JoJo. We're brothers. What are you talking about?" Because he doesn't want JoJo to investigate that the medicine is actually poison. And JoJo's not stupid, okay? JoJo is like, "I've grown these past 7 years. I'm not stupid. I'm finna send this medicine in to get tested, and we'll see what this actually is." And this leads Dio to put a plan in place to kill JoJo. See, while JoJo travels to the inner cities of London, if you will, Dio steals the stone mask from JoJo's room. And this is where we officially learn that Dio saw the stone mask open up during his fight with JoJo in 1881. Because his blood was the one that activated it, okay? JoJo beat him so bad that his blood activated the stone mask. And he decides that he's going to make JoJo's death look like a research gone wrong, so he'll never be suspected of murder, and then he can kill George Joestar in peace and just inherit the family fortune. Now, while Jonathan is on Ogre Street, he encounters 3 thugs, and one of them happens to be Speedwagon, who becomes an ally to the Joestar bloodline. And when I mean ally, I mean this dude gets money in part 2, Battle Tendencies, and he starts a foundation. But that's for a later video. And Dio is currently spiraling emotionally, which leads him to testing the mask on some random guy that insulted or threatened him, and he almost died because of this. And when I mean he almost died, I mean he did not know that the real secret of the stone mask is immortality. See, when a human puts on the stone mask, they become a vampire, which gives the person superhuman abilities and eternal life, but they burn in the sun. And Dio didn't know this until he put that stone mask on that guy, and the guy tried to kill him, but the sun was up. So he literally got saved by the sun. Now, it is 3 days later. Jojo has came back with Speedwagon, and he got proof about the poison actually being poison and not medicine. And he got the whole cops. They not finna let Dio up, bro. So when Dio comes back to the mansion, right, he tries to lie his way through it, talking about, no, it's not true. I wasn't poisoning him, Jojo. But it don't work, okay? Jojo see right through that. Speedwagon saw right through that for sure. Speedwagon was like, no, he's a liar. He's lying. I met a lot of liars in my day. He's a liar. And guess what Dio does? Guess what predictable Dio does? He uses the stone mask to transcend humanity, bro, by killing George Joestar in the process. So he meant to actually kill Jonathan, but the shit missed, okay? It missed and it hit George, and George is dead now. George died, okay? That's like several people dead now. Dario dead from poison by Dio's hands. George dead by Dio's hands. Marion the coachman died from a great height, okay? People are just dying left and right. And then we move on to volume 2. Now, this is after Dio has transcended humanity. See, after George dies, it is discovered that 20 years ago, so it places us back in 1868. Does it? No, it does. Places us back in 1868. And Dario is arrested for attempting to sell the ring that he stole from Mary Joestar's unalived body. But George Joestar acquits him of thievery, bro. Even after he knew the truth, he was like, I just want you to be better. Just be better. And even during George's death, George felt like the way Dio had turned out was his own fault. And his last request to Jonathan was to bury Dio in the Brando family plot, not knowing that Dio killed his ass for a greater cause, okay? I'ma just call a spade a spade. He killed George to transcend humanity. And he didn't give a fuck, okay? He said he was going to transcend humanity and step on all you hoes, and he did just that. So, using the blood of George Joestar to activate the mask, Dio unlocked eternal life. He defeated death, because they shot his ass. They shot his ass after he tried to attack. They filled that nigga with bullets. And guess what happened? He had the mask on, so he became a vampire. Dio's a vampire now. And he ends up killing the head inspector and a cop, who he turned into a vampire when he drained their life force, bro. So technically, Dio is a vampire, and he can turn other people into zombie vampires. I feel like they're just other vampires, but they're basically sired vampires that's old, ugly, and decrepit. And honestly, I felt like now that Dio has become a vampire, I felt like his first goal was honestly to turn Jonathan into one of his zombies. And that would have been a really good idea if he was able to do it. Now, in chapter 15, Settling the Youth with Dio, fire doesn't damage Dio to significance, so Jojo plans to plunge himself and Dio into the fire from the roof of the mansion. See, while they're fighting it out, the mansion is on fire. It's up in flames, up in smoke, whatever you want to call it, and they just fighting it out in the fire. And so Jojo leads Dio to the top of the house, and he plunges them to the bottom of the motherfucking house. And they go from the top to the bottom real quick. And it seemed like Jojo's plan was not going to work, because Dio had all these counterattacks and other offenses and whatnot. But Jojo is able to actually impale Dio on the Goddess of Love statue, that is in the middle of the Joestar mansion at the bottom. And he barely escapes the mansion himself, but he gets out. I think Speedwagon pulled him out, but he gets out. I don't know how he got out, but he got out, okay? However, although Dio may look dead or be dead, or he should have been dead, he really should have been dead. He ain't dead. Okay, Dio's alive, barely. He's clinging onto life. He's clinging onto life at the bottom of all that rubble that fell on top of his ass. Now, while Jonathan is in the hospital recovering from 2 broken arms, 6 broken ribs, and a deep shoulder gash, Dio ends up draining the blood of the man who sold him the poison in London on Orger Street, right? Orger Street. He drained him. He turned him into a zombie. He turned him into his evil henchman. Now, that man deserved it because he went there looking for the stone mask so he could sell it for a pretty penny to some rich idiots. Which, get the bag. He shouldn't have went back. He shouldn't have went back. That's just facts, okay? If he hadn't went back, this wouldn't have happened to him at all. He would still be alive and well, selling poison in Ogre Street, London. But, look where we at now. If you have made it this far into the video, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I had a really fun time making this video, and I know my updates are lacking, to put it in a better words, because my tablet is on its last legs. Like, I really can't do anything about that. I need new equipment. I'm trying to invest in getting a PC just for editing, and I also want to get into streaming on the channel, so hopefully I can get that started eventually. Don't forget to follow me on TikTok and Instagram at baldheaded.demon. I post a lot of cosplay content over there, so yeah, just go follow my cosplay content on TikTok. I have a lot of fun making cosplay content, so I'm gonna try to incorporate that into the channel as well, for sure. Hopefully I get my next video out in June. I don't know what it's gonna be yet, so hopefully I am able to get it out. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Take care, guys. Bye.